My wife wanted an open marriage, made our kids sleep on the floor while she slept with strangers. So I took full custody. Now she wants me back. I used to admire feminists until I met my wife. We were perfect for a time, until she found a new social circle. These women were not only opinionated, nothing could please them. Could you hold the door for them? You believe that all women are children who are incapable of making their own decisions. Don't hold it. You are disrespectful and entitled. Walk behind them? You are a creep. Walk ahead? You are an egocentric a-hole. But I thought I could trust my wife not to follow the crowd. But she did, destroying more than just her life and our marriage in the process. It all began with a few little disputes. After a 14-hour shift, I'd left my plates in the sink, and I was suddenly blamed for every abuser who had not been prosecuted. Or if I started assisting with our children's homework, she'd grab me aside and tell me I'm intrinsically troublesome, and my mansplaining only confirms it. The kind, loving woman I married appeared to vanish before my eyes, replaced by someone cold and aggressive. Around that time, I had a terrible gut feeling. I was playing video games with my son and moved to high-five him, but my stomach churned as he flinched. I instantly recognized and discussed it with my wife, who informed me I had a delicate male ego. Her explanation was that our son wasn't really flinching. I was just lying to myself to make myself feel stronger and more powerful than her because I was insecure. So, it's all a little perplexing and unsettling. From then on, I made an extra effort to pay special attention to our daughter and son. Every day I watched them become less enthusiastic and more timid. My youngster even began peeing the bed at night. I cared far more about our children's well-being than the health of my marriage, until one day, I returned home early to find a car parked in our driveway. My heart was broken, but rather than confront her, I drove away to a diner and returned a few hours later. I asked her who she was bringing home while I was at work all day. My friends. Am I not allowed to have a life outside of this miserable house? My heart is breaking. It quickly became evident that she didn't care about our family, and was not the woman I thought she was. As our children's timidity developed to active dread, I decided to take away one of her fundamental human rights. That was her right to privacy. However, when I checked her phone, the majority of the messages had been deleted, and what remained was disturbing. It was a talk with one of her new friends about how Lena should approach me for an open relationship. The friend urged her to take it gradually and make him believe it was also his idea. Obviously she was cheating, but I didn't care anymore. I just needed to know who was touching our children. So, in my thoughts, I'm thinking, I needed to devise a strategy that would allow me to gain complete custody of the children. However, because there was no prenup, I needed to ensure that I had enough to be a decent father. So when Lena casually mentioned open relationships over breakfast, as if it were a stray thought, I was prepared. I kept my phone recording in my pocket. She stirred her oatmeal lazily. So, I was reading about these couples who have open relationships. What do you think about that concept? I did not yell. I did not yell. Instead, I looked her in the eyes and inquired, tight jaw, who is he? Her arrogant demeanor faded suddenly, like a mask slipping off. What do you mean? She stuttered. But I was no longer convinced of her innocence, and Lena eventually admitted to 2 one-night affairs while I was working. She revealed that when they came over, she forced our children to sleep on the wooden floor while she made love with them in the next room, which was loud enough for them to hear. As a result, they were more frightened and anxious. They were both married men with their own children. Fathers who, like me, likely believed they had loving, devoted relationships with her. Then came the shocking revelation. She was planning to sleep with a coworker and intended to pursue it because it's good for her, and I don't have any right to control her. The way she said it, with defiance rather than remorse, made it clear that this wasn't a confession, it was a declaration of independence from our marriage vows. The insanity worsened when she discussed matching me up with one of her friends who was really interested in me. She thinks you're hot, Lena remarked, as if offering me a consolation prize. I've seen this friend. Always angry, loud, and physically rude. I would not touch her with a 10-foot rod. My mind was racing, but I had enough control to ask for her phone. She revealed her unlock pattern with startling ease. While she used the restroom, I locked myself in my office. She beat on the door while I ran recovery software, revealing terrible evidence of explicit discussions, plans for meetings, and scathing remarks about me and our marriage. I also set up a tracking app before returning her phone and ordering her to go. Her response was wrath, not remorse. She yelled that I was manipulating and keeping her back, just as males have always done throughout history. She claimed I never genuinely loved her, that all I wanted was to possess her, that she had every right to do so, and that I should simply accept it as the new normal for our marriage. During her tirade, I quietly collected her belongings and remained by the front door until she ran out of steam and left for her parents' place. As she proceeded down the stairs, I said, "You're single now? Do whatever you want. I'm not controlling you anymore. My lawyer will be in touch in January." Before she could respond, I slammed and closed the door, my hands shaking violently as the gravity of what had just transpired washed over me. Lena was discussing everything with her pals in a group chat, which I monitored via the surveillance software. They commended her for being assertive and demanding what she deserved. They convinced her that my divorce threat was empty. Want to bet? Men always make threats they don't follow through on. And that I'd crawl back once I realized what I was losing. What worried me was hearing them say she could accuse me of domestic abuse in order to ensure her future. One acquaintance boldly boasted about how she cheated her ex-husband and stole everything with bogus abuse allegations. She described exactly how to make the charges appear credible, what to say, and how to act, even proposing that Lena inflict minor bruises on herself as proof. I quickly purchased security cameras for my home. I realized I needed to document everything from this point forward. Then came something I never expected. Lena texted her affair partner to meet at a hotel. The message contained the hotel name and room number. I soon discovered the AP's wife online, contacted her via Facebook, and informed her everything, including their present location. She thanked me before quickly hanging up. Hours later, she gave me a video of the hotel confrontation. "You do this to me again? To the kids again? I told you we were over if you ever did this again." She filmed my wife getting dressed in bed. When I initially viewed that tape, I vomited. The visual confirmation of my wife's betrayal hurt me more than any spoken confession. The AP's wife smacked Lena and berated her for destroying yet another family. I messaged Lena, claiming I'd watched the video and didn't want her around me again. My entire body felt frigid, like if I'd been immersed in ice water. The woman in the video was unknown to me, not only physically in that compromising situation, but also as a person. The way Lena acted afterward was strange, as if she saw our encounters as a competition she was winning. She texted friends that I was breaking down and would be asking her to come home within a week. She appeared to be entirely removed from reality, unaware that we were genuinely separating. There was no sorrow, no acknowledgement of the anguish she had caused, only strategic preparation for how to win the divorce. I entered her family's WhatsApp group and informed them that we were divorcing owing to her infidelity, thanking them for accepting me into their family before quitting the group. I received multiple calls and messages from her family members but did not answer. I couldn't stomach reliving the memories over and over, each time renewing the hurt. After telling my parents everything, my father texts Lena that she would not be welcome at Christmas. I'm currently residing with my parents, surrounded by childhood artifacts that bring some solace amidst the mayhem. My manager has given me time off until mid-January, knowing that I'm unable to perform professionally. Through monitoring, I've observed Lena's increasingly frenzied conversations with her friends. I don't think she understands that she has lost her family. Her marriage has ended, and her new pals don't really care about her. They provide toxic advice that only helps to drive her away from reconciliation. She sent countless messages and even showed up at my parents' house, begging to spend Christmas with us. My father threatened to call the cops if she didn't go, his cheeks flushed with rage at her brazenness. I've been Googling divorce lawyers in between crying fits. Initially, I believe I was in shock, operating on autopilot while making required plans. However, when I arrived at my parents' place, the pain hit me hard. Nothing makes sense now. How could someone change so dramatically? Was our whole marriage a lie? Was there anything I could have done differently? I only responded to her texts twice. 1. It doesn't matter what you say. I don't know who you are. You're not my wife. My wife would never destroy my heart and soul while smiling. We will get divorced. I don't care what you say or what you want. You have no right to demand anything from me ever again. We are over. 2. Like I said, you're not my wife. I don't know you. My wife would never condemn our children to growing up in a broken home. You, whoever you are, seem proud of what you've done. My wife was loving, caring, considerate, my best friend. You are a self-obsessed, self-absorbed abomination. The messages ceased after that. Perhaps reality had finally sunk in. The ache is awful. Sometimes I find myself staring at family photos and tracing the outline of Lena's face, wondering if that person really existed, or if she was always capable of such betrayal. I wish none of this had occurred. I wish we could go back to the past. But I cannot do that to myself. This is the worst Christmas imaginable. In a moment of weakness, I told the kids that mommy no longer wants to be a family and wants to be with other guys, so we're divorcing. They are devastated. Rar wept herself to sleep in my arms, leaving Noah speechless, his small face frozen in confusion. Thankfully, my parents are here to support us all. While I'm a complete wreck, barely able to function amidst the sadness, I'm attempting to put myself together for my children. But I'll never return to Lena. Her behavior was so disrespectful and heartless that it cannot be forgiven. I'm totally lost. Why would she expect me to do anything at this point? Is she psychologically ill? Has she always been this person beneath the surface, or has something fundamentally altered her? These questions torment me as I lie awake at night, staring up at the ceiling of my childhood bedroom. Sorry for the rambling post. I just needed to get things out where people might understand. Update. A lot has happened since my last post. I wish I could say I've been strong all this, but I've been a sobbing wreck. My father caught me on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. 2 nights ago, I was holding my knees and rocking back and forth. I was obsessed with Lena's conversations with her pals until I saw something that destroyed my heart. She recounted in graphic detail how our marriage, and especially our children, were burdens that prevented her from becoming a successful woman and living up to her true potential. She claimed I was an oppressive piece of trur, preventing her from having a decent life. That parenthood was a patriarchal trap created to keep women submissive. What crushed my heart was that she never provided particular examples of how we allegedly burdened or mistreated her, only broad charges based on gender politics rather than our actual relationship. In actuality, I have never prevented her from doing anything. I pay for everything. The minimum wage at her part-time employment was insufficient to support anyone. I've supported her hobbies, dreams, and aspirations, even when she dropped multiple classes midway through. I showered her with love and praise every day, romanced her, took her out, and supported her whenever she needed it. I've been the primary caregiver for our children on numerous occasions when she desired me time. If that is oppression, sign me up. I finally fainted out from emotional weariness. When I awoke, my 3 best friends, let us call them Ben, Tom, and Eli, were in the kitchen with my father, preparing dinner. These people have been there since childhood, through every significant life event. Ben is a former military member who lost his arm below the elbow in Afghanistan. We supported him when his wife abandoned him throughout his rehabilitation because she couldn't handle the new him. He scheduled a Zoom call with his counselor, who helped me grasp what was going on emotionally. He discussed how my marriage and role as a spouse shaped my identity. That component is no longer active. And, like an amputee, I am experiencing phantom pain from the dead part of my identity. This is what Ben meant. The marriage you thought you had no longer exists, and you're mourning it like a death, because it is. Tom is a wealthy executive at a security firm who keeps his true employment a secret. He phoned the top-tier law firm that his company employs on retainer. He's paying for my legal fees as compensation for all the times I took beatings from bullies on his behalf when we were kids. You protected me when I couldn't defend myself, he added, squeezing my shoulder. Now it's my turn. Eli, a private school teacher with 7 children, yes, 7, has been looking after my children while I recover. His elder daughters have been reading bedtime stories to Emma and Noah, creating a sense of routine in the midst of mayhem. Yesterday began with an STD screening. What are the results? Lena gave me chlamydia. I'll need another screening in 6 months for HIV and other STDs with longer incubation periods. My self-pity quickly turned into wrath. The doctor's compassionate expression as he prescribed antibiotics further heightened my sense of violation. Gloves are off. I'm pursuing full custody and will give her nothing if possible. My lawyer tracked out the ex-husband of Lena's feminist friend, who boasted about screwing him over. We spoke on WhatsApp, and after hearing how this lady ruined his life, leaving him homeless and not seeing his children for 4 years, I'm preparing for war. His voice cracked as he remembered living in his car while she enjoyed the house he had paid for, telling their children that he did not love them enough to afford a home. My attorney proposed a preemptive restraining order in response to Lena's disparaging remarks about men, particularly for our son's benefit. Growing up with an openly anti-male mom is clearly harmful, Thus we are pursuing full custody. We're gathering proof of her abandonment of the children, her erratic behavior, and her recently adopted extremist beliefs that could jeopardize their psychological development. I had a Zoom call with Lena yesterday. She hasn't contacted me or the kids since she appeared at my parents' door. She looked more dolled up than I'd seen in years, with over-the-top makeup and a plunging neckline that seemed strange for what should have been a serious discussion about our divorce. Throughout the call, she attempted to provoke me into fury. As my lawyer recommended, I kept my calm and even informed Lena that I was taping the session for my records. She began with an outrageous statement about many varieties of penises and how she was looking forward to researching further in person once limitations were abolished. Her gaze moved off camera on occasion, implying that she was not alone. I just replied that I was only interested in discussing our divorce and child custody arrangements, not her interests. She became hostile when I refused to take the bait, calling me uninteresting and pitiful. She went to the bathroom at one point, but only hushed herself while discussing her next move with her companions. I watched as she cursed me out simply for being a guy, calling me various obscenities while her buddies encouraged her aggression. When there was no progress after 45 minutes of this behavior, I said, "Okay, fine. So this is a contentious divorce. By the way, you gave me chlamydia. And, unlike you, I have not been sleeping with anyone else, so you should go to the doctor." She only frowned as if she didn't believe me and said I must have given it to her. A preposterous accusation considering that I'd been faithful throughout our marriage. I forwarded the recording to my lawyer, who was horrified. "This is gold for our case," he explained. "Because I own her phone and service, we can lawfully utilize the chat logs in court. Her digital presence will be her downfall. It still hurts, but I'm treating it like phantom pain. I have given up on self-pity and am striving to defend myself and my children. We will get through this. My children will receive whatever therapy they require. Lena will soon be a distant memory, and I will construct a better life." Update, 2 weeks later. People keep telling me that I am strong or winning in some way. Reading back through my posts, I can see how my anger can make me appear stubborn and confident in myself. The truth is, I am not. I wish none of this had occurred. I hope my family remained intact and that I could enjoy a long, comfortable life with Lena while our children grew up. Nobody wins here. I lost. Lena loses. Our children lose the most. Their world has been devastated for no fault of their own. People seem to be congratulating me for losing both legs while saving half of a kneecap. I still can't sleep well. When I do, I get awful nightmares that leave me covered in cold sweat. I have a dream about Lena and other men laughing at me. I dream of my children crying for their mother while I stand helpless. Sometimes I wake up reaching across the bed for her, temporarily forgetting everything, before reality hits back. Today the hospital phoned. I continue to be Lena's emergency contact, and she remains covered by my health insurance. There was an altercation. She has lost teeth, broken her jaw, and will require observation for a few days. The nurse's clinical description could not conceal the extent of the injuries. When I arrived with her parents, we discovered that several of her new acquaintances had battered her severely. My lawyer's chat logs from Lena's phone revealed that the woman was talking about her ex-husband. They suspected Lena had contributed these logs, so she was beaten and kicked out of their circle. The irony was not lost on me. The people who had encouraged her betrayal had turned on her with unexpected force. Amazingly, she is still unaware that I am monitoring her phone. I will continue to pay for her insurance and phone until the divorce is official. I won't think it's over until I have the papers. Even after everything, a part of me still wants to protect her. 11 years of love do not vanish suddenly, even when betrayal shatters the partnership. Lena has nothing now. She inquired if she could go back home, her voice muffled by her wired jaw. I just told her, no way in hell. Her mother would not give her any money unless she gets clean and stays clean for at least a year. They offered to let her live with them under tight conditions, no phone, no visits, and rigorous counseling. For the first time, I saw a glimpse of guilt when she said, "I'm sorry I ruined everything, but I don't believe it was sincere." She barely looked me in the eyes, instead gazing on the hospital wall behind us. Despite everything, it hurts to watch her like that. I wanted to protect her, but she is an adult whose behavior is risky and unpredictable. I need to safeguard my children. Strangely, she did not inquire about the hearing or her gravely injured buddy. She just sat there, appearing offended by our presence rather than appreciative for our assistance. Her father's face was a mask of disappointment and uncertainty, the same one I'd been wearing for weeks. I still don't get what happened. She devastated her family and caused enormous suffering. For what? A buzz and random sex? I'm going to avoid all contact till she's been clean for a long time. I can't take this madness. Update, 1 month later. Many folks have messaged to ask for an update. I wanted to post yesterday but didn't have the energy. I'm unhappy and fatigued, sleeping very little and having nightmares. Some days I can barely get out of bed, forcing myself to function just because my children require it. The good news. My children are doing well. My father has been great. We went skiing at his cabin this weekend. Only him, me, and the kids. It was fantastic to watch them learn, their faces flushed with pride as they mastered the bunny hill. For small periods, I could nearly forget what had happened. I have no communication with Lena right now. I spoke with one of her acquaintances who was in critical condition. She awoke but was in bad shape. Her nurse remarked that no one had paid her a visit. Her family refused to see her. The room was strangely quiet, just beeping machines and the odor of disinfectant. Worried that whomever attacked Lena would come for me and the kids, I requested to speak with this woman. She weirdly began our conversation by proposing sexual services for $20. Her eyes were lifeless, her skin pallid and bruised. I responded with $50 for information instead. What she revealed was devastating. All of these feminist buddies are heavy drug users. One of them, the one who boasted about destroying her ex, invited Lena into their group against the objections of the others and exposed her to narcotics. They sell sexual favors for drug money, using feminist rhetoric to shield their inflated egos. Lena initially bought into the idea but rapidly became addicted to drugs. She eventually began selling sex for drug money. I was devastated to learn that the woman I loved the most had become a prostitute in order to fund her addiction. It explains why she only wanted the money from our divorce. Each revelation felt like a knife to my already wounded heart. No one came to see this woman in the hospital because she had stolen, cheated, abused, and lied to everyone in her life. Without blinking, she expressed her sadness at having survived. She sees no hope for the future. I cried while listening to her story. Not for her, but for what happened to Lena. For the terrible decisions that led her down this path of self-destruction. I'm not excusing Lena's decisions. She chose to play with fire and lost everything. But understanding her addiction explains a lot of her strange behavior, personality changes, irrational anger, and complete disregard for those who loved her. Many Redditors who have dealt with addicts warned me that Lena might attempt suicide as her life crumbled. They were correct. She attempted a deliberate overdose. I discussed this possibility with her father, and we decided to keep a close eye on her. While at the cabin on Saturday, I received what appeared to be a suicide note. She admitted to her addiction and prostitution, claiming she had let everyone down and that she was taking the only option available. The words were rambling and disjointed, but the intention was clear. I immediately called her father and shared her location via the monitoring app. He discovered her unconscious on a park bench and rushed her to the hospital. She was hypothermic and barely surviving. I can't bear the thought of what would have happened if he arrived even slightly later. Despite everything, I didn't want her to die. The mother of my children, the woman I had once shared a life with. I wanted her to heal, even if we'd never be together again. They've put her on methadone, and her father has been appointed as her legal guardian after proving she abandoned her children, which appears to demonstrate mental incompetence more clearly than attempting suicide. This week, she will go through a sedated detox at a rehabilitation center. The doctors warned that the road to recovery would be long and difficult, with no guarantees. Fortunately, I hadn't canceled her life insurance yet, so the treatment is covered. I've offered to assist with finances, as long as Lena is unaware I'm involved. Not out of kindness, but because her recovery is critical for our children's future relationship with their mother. A healthier, sober version of her. I was terrified that the men who had attacked Lena would come after me and the children, believing I had provided the incriminating chat logs. Tom's friend Mark, who benefited from the logs in his divorce case, decided to fix it. Mark is a formidable mountain of a man who grew up on a farm, lifting hay bales and wrestling cattle. Despite his intimidating appearance, tall enough to fit through doorways, crew cut, and facial scars from a childhood accident, he is actually patient and kind. He went to the attacker's apartment, grabbed them by the necks, and offered them two choices. Go to the police and confess to the assault, or face him and suffer painful, permanent injuries. They couldn't make it to the police station quickly enough. I've found a new apartment and will be moving shortly. Tom helped with the planning. It is smaller than our family home, but it has plenty of room for the kids and is in a good school district. I've been gradually decorating their rooms, hoping to create a safe and welcoming environment. Despite everything, I am incredibly grateful. My friends and family, as well as the need to be strong for my children, motivate me. My heart breaks for Lena. Despite everything, I do not regret marrying her. I still love who she was, but I know we'll never be able to reconcile. She's not the same person she used to be, and there's too much sadness between us. We had a lovely life before the disaster. I wouldn't have my children without her, and I would never swap them for anything. The grief will persist, but I hope I have the strength to bear it. Some days I mistrust myself. On other days, I see glimmers of a possible future. Different from what I had envisioned, but possibly still valuable. Interestingly, learning about Lena's addiction has helped my children survive. It's easier to explain mommy's illness and how long it will take for her to recover than to explain betrayal and desertion. They've written her letters that I'm keeping secure until she's stable enough to read them. Their resilience astounds me. Children can adapt to so much if given the correct assistance and honest, age-appropriate explanations. I'm sad and fatigued, but Mark is here with his kids now. We're watching Madagascar 3 tonight. I'm attempting to make as many positive memories as possible amidst the gloom. Our children appear to be doing well. They laugh more freely now, and the nightmares are less frequent. I think we'll be fine, not today, or tomorrow, but eventually. Thank you all for your help and support. Strangers' Goodwill has provided a lifeline at the worst times. Final update. Lena has passed away. She overdosed while in rehabilitation. Nobody knows how she acquired the medicines. One doctor hypothesized that she may have swallowed a secret bag that ruptured during detox, delivering a lethal amount all at once. I held our children as they wailed, their small bodies trembling with pain that I couldn't quiet. How can you tell youngsters that their mother will never return, that the disease took her forever? I have no answers, only tears that will not stop falling. I will no longer be posting or responding to comments. Thank you to everyone who offered useful advice and support throughout this horror.